Hey, so today I want to talk around the power of being vulnerable. Now, I appreciate that might sound like a little bit of a strange topic, and I've sort of taken this inspiration from a recent TED talk that I watched by a lady called Brené Brown. And if you've never seen her TED talks, I highly recommend them, especially the one that she does around the power of invulnerability. Now, the reason I want to talk about that today is as a tech founder, I've obviously the openness to vulnerability is something that we as a company and the team and myself, we kind of have to embrace every single day. Because if we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable to a degree, then we close ourselves off to new ideas and change, and sometimes that things that come from left field, and that in turn can lead to the stifling of the product. And go, well, that works, why do we need to change it? We don't need to change it, customers are happy. But we absolutely do. So how in the law profession and conveyancing especially can we allow ourselves to be vulnerable to the innovation and change that is kind of banging at our doors every single day, yet do that within a regulated environment and at the right level of risk based approach to it. So what I see when we go and speak to new potential law firms and customers, invariably we have the conversation with either the head of legal practice or head of residential conveyancing or operations, and they're all they're really great conversations, and everybody's loves the product, etc. But what I can see is there's a person sat there and they're going through their head, they're looking at it and going, yeah, I can see where this could add value, but what does it what does it mean to the firm? Does it expose us to a cyber risk? Does it increase our risk of an AML breach? All of a raft of questions are kind of running through their head, even if certain those are not applicable to the product or the service. And invariably, and just relating this back to the Brené Brown talk, they want to come into the arena, right? They want to be part of it, but this fear of kind of being vulnerable and open to change means that they sit in the ringside seats, okay, and they're sitting there and they're looking in and they're going, oh yeah, we'd love to do this, I'd love to be a part of this, but this fear of being vulnerable kind of stops them in the tracks. Now, I think the reason that is in 95+% of the time, these firms don't have a dedicated method or of introducing change and innovation into the business. So it anything that's potentially new coming in, it's usually landing on the shoulders of head of legal practice or managing partner or head of resi, and these people have already got a lot of work to do and a lot of things on their shoulders. The companies where this really kind of works, and the ones that you see that are kind of driving forward and are innovative and at the forefront, are the ones where they've actually kind of sat down and gone, right, we're actually going to put a risk-based approach around bringing change into the firm. And what they do is they will ring fence a certain somebody maybe from new business, somebody from support, somebody from fee owner. They'll ring fence that team as a little mini project team. Okay. They'll write a high level policy around it that says this is what we're willing to accept in terms of risk coming in. This is what we're not willing to accept. So that effectively puts a nice little risk-based wrapper around bringing change into the business before that change is either is rolled fully across business as usual, across the whole operation. So what they then do is let's take, supplier will come in with a new product, a new idea. We'll sit, we'll work with them, and then there'll be a small pilot phase. So we'll have a pilot phase that runs across each of the divisions, and then it allows the firm and the head of legal practice and the operations and everybody involved to really understand what this means if they were to adopt this fully into the business. So how does it affect the AML policy? How does it affect our risk? How does it affect our firm-wide risk assessment? And really understand and ensure that the return on investment that somebody's telling you you're going to potentially get is that real? Is that right? Are we likely to see the return on investment? So what it does is it allows the firm to be absolutely, vulnerable to the point of, yes, we do want to look at innovation, look at change, bring it into the business, but we want to, we have to do it in a controlled method that doesn't expose us and make us vulnerable to the types of things that we absolutely don't want to be. I.e., I don't want to be more vulnerable to a cyber attack. I don't want to be more vulnerable to an AML breach. So it gets ring-fenced with a team of people, ring-fenced in terms of either a number of cases or dummy cases, and it just allows the firm to really understand what this could mean to them as a wider business. Post the conclusion of the agreed trial, they then reflect and say, okay, either yes, this worked for us and this is what we want to take forward, or actually no, thank you. It's worthwhile because you will always learn something from it. Even if you learn about the things that don't work, that's equally as valuable. And then it's just a much more collaborative way of introducing new ideas into the business. But without kind of looking at it in that respect and going, listen, we are willing to have that vulnerability, but in a risk-based approach. This is where I see a lot of firms kind of just close themselves down, and it's these firms that are sat in the ringside seats who are looking in the arena and going, this looks great, but it's just not willing to jump in. And it's not about willing to jump in and with 2 feet and oh yeah, here's the next great product or service or whatever, and we'll just roll it across the business's entirety. It's looking at it and going, I want to be in that arena. I'm willing to be vulnerable. The firm is willing to be vulnerable, so long as it's within the right risk-based way. So that's kind of my thoughts on the idea. We see that method and that approach working really, really well, and these are the firms that are taking those steps forward. So I hope that's been of use to you, and thank you for listening.